On Global TV News Express, resident doctors threaten fresh strike over unfulfilled agreements. In business, President Tinubu cancels NNPCL legacy debt to Federation account. On the foreign scene, Somalia leads international backlash against Israel over recognition of Somaliland. And in sports, Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria qualify. Others battle for African Cup of Nations last 16 spots. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. And now, the news in details. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has warned that the country may soon face another nationwide shutdown of medical services. This follows the federal government's failure to honor a memorandum of understanding previously signed with the association. In an urgent appeal to senior medical professionals and respected elders posted on X, titled Urgent Appeal to Avert a Looming Nationwide Strike, Secretary General of the association, Dr. Shoaib Ibrahim, cautioned that the nation is on the brink of a total and indefinite comprehensive strike. The association said the strike would be inevitable result of the Federal Ministry of Health and the federal government's ignoring multiple deadlines for implementing the MOU signed with resident doctors. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Medical Association has criticized the federal government for what it described as the paltry allocation to the health sector, noting that the proposed 2.48 trillion naira for the 2026 amounts to approximately 10,400 naira per citizen for the fiscal year. The association said the amount allocated to the health sector is unacceptable and grossly inadequate. This estimate is based on the 2.48 trillion naira health sector allocation contained in President Bola Tinubu's 58.18 trillion naira appropriation bill presented to the National Assembly, and the United Nations Population Fund estimated 237.5 million population for Nigeria. Away from the health sector, the Nigerian Air Force has recorded a major breakthrough in the ongoing offensive against armed banditry in Zamfara State, with the successful execution of 2 precision airstrikes on key bandit strongholds in Safi local government area. And now the report. By the air component of the Operation Fencing Yamma Sector 2, following sustained intelligence gathering and surveillance of identified bandit enclaves at Turba Hill and Kachala Dogo's Sule camp. At Turba Hill, the intelligence and aerial surveillance confirmed heavy bandit presence and a central operation structure within the enclave. NAF air assets engaged the target after positive identification, delivering a precision strike that destroyed the structure and neutralized several bandits. Post-strike's assessment confirmed the collapse of the hideout and the disruption of activities within the area. The second operation focused on Kachala Dogo Sule's camp, widely known as a major bandit stronghold and a hub for the production of improvised explosive devices. Intelligence report linked the camp to recent IED attacks along the Dan Sadao-Magami corridor. During the strike, multiple active structures within the camp were hit, resulting in large fires that destroyed the facilities and neutralized several bandits. The operation significantly degraded the group's ability to manufacture and deploy explosive devices. The airstrikes have dealt a major blow to bandit networks operating in Zamfara State, particularly by dismantling their IED production capability and denying them safe operational bases. The success of the mission underscores the effectiveness of intelligence-led air operations and close coordination among forces involved in Operation Fencing Yamma. The Nigeria Air Force says it remains fully committed to sustained joint operations aimed at dismantling criminal networks, protecting communities, and restoring lasting peace and security across the In the meantime, there are growing concerns surrounding the recent joint United States-Nigeria airstrike in Sokoto as part of efforts to end insecurity and insurgency, especially in the northern parts of the country. These airstrikes have sent shock waves across Africa and Nigeria, as one of the continent's largest and most influential nations finds itself at the center of both regional and global discussions. What do these strikes mean for Nigeria's security, sovereignty, and international relationship? Our correspondent, Sadiya Yakubu, attempts to find answers.
The United States, in collaboration with Nigeria, carried out airstrike in some parts of Sokoto State few days ago, targeting armed groups like Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa. While the United States government insists these actions are aimed at protecting global security, such actions have raised alarms across Nigeria. These airstrikes not only have military and political implications, but also raise crucial questions about Nigeria's sovereignty and its role on global stage.
The implication of the United States strike in the city of Caliphate, Nigeria, Sokoto State, has a vast implication. Let me say, from a strategic point of view, it has become a challenge that tested Nigeria's capacity or capability to fight the enemies in Nigeria. It has also tested our diplomatic posture on the world stage.
With ongoing battles against insurgent groups in the northeast and a rising threat from banditry across the northwest, the intervention of foreign military forces could further complicate matters.
I think that's a welcome development. It's not a thing of joy that day in, day out, we wake up with stories, people killing, people died, people kidnapped, people raped. If there's a solution from anywhere, we need to clap and welcome them.
Nigeria has been careful in its foreign policy, balancing relationships with global powers like the United States and China, while protecting its regional leadership in Africa. However, these airstrikes could complicate Nigeria's position as a key player in the African Union and on the global stage. How will the government address these concerns with its citizens, and what will this mean for Nigeria's international relationships moving forward?
The insecurity in Nigeria have got out of hand, and anywhere, many citizens of Nigeria have been praying for this. So we're all happy the way US intervened.
It's clear that these airstrikes carry far-reaching consequences. While Nigerian security forces are already stretched, the diplomatic fallout from these strikes could have lasting effects on both United States-Nigeria relationships and the broader geopolitical landscape in West Africa. Analysts say the government must reassure the public that it has control over security matters and that foreign interventions won't come at the cost of Nigerian sovereignty. It could also acknowledge the realities on the ground, that these extremist groups do pose a significant threat to survival of the nation. Sadiya Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has secured a federal High Court order in Lagos State to detain a cargo vessel and its 21 crew members following the seizure of 25.5 kilograms of cocaine at the Apapa seaport. Our correspondent, Ubong Usoro, reports.
The drug consignment was discovered on December 6, 2025, aboard the merchant vessel MV San Antonio, which arrived from Brazil. NDLEA operatives acting on credible intelligence uncovered the cocaine concealed in the ship hatch during inspection. After the vessel fully discharged its cargo, the ship's captain and 20 other crew members of different nationalities were taken into NDLEA's custody while the seized drugs. This interception comes weeks after similar operations at the same seaport, where NDLEA officers seized about 20 kilograms of cocaine hidden in another Brazil-born vessel, MV North Bostros, on November 16. Following the latest seizure, the NDLEA filed an ex parte application before the Federal High Court in Lagos, seeking the detention of the vessel and its crew in line with international maritime and legal procedures. Justice Frida Nkemakowa Ogazi granted the application, ordering the detention of MV San Antonio and the 21 crew members for an initial period of 14 days to allow the conclusion of investigation and the filing of criminal charges. The case has been adjourned to December 29, 2025. The chairman and chief executive officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, described the seizure as further proof of the agency's resolve to block international drug syndicates from using Nigeria as a transit or destination country. He commended officers of the Apapa Strategic Command for successive interceptions and reaffirms the agency's commitment to sustain collaboration with local and international partners to combat illicit drug trafficking and substance abuse.
Now, after the Christmas holiday declared by the federal government, civil servants across the country have returned to work. At the National Secretariat in Abuja, activities have gradually picked up as workers resume official duties. Again, our correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
The Christmas break is over. Public offices at the National Secretariat in Abuja are once again coming alive. Following the federal government's declaration of public holidays to mark the Christmas celebrations, civil servants had been away from work, spending time with families and loved ones. As the office reopened, workers were seen arriving early, signing attendance registers, and settling into their various duties, although activities appeared low in some ministries and departments. While some offices recorded near full attendance, others experienced low turnout. Some workers attributed the situation to post-holiday fatigue and travel delays. Despite this, essential services and administrative offices gradually resumed, signaling a steady return to normal government operation. Ishmael Badamasi, a civil servant who spoke to us, said he is grateful for the holiday, but it's time to get back to work.
This is a festive period, and many people travel home to go and celebrate Christmas and New Year. As you can see around the Federal Secretariat, not many have returned yet, but there are still few civil servants in the offices.
Others who spoke said that some civil servants had traveled and may not resume until January 2026.
Work have resumed.
People and the office today, they came to the office.
So the federal government gave the 25th and 26th of December as public holidays. Today we visited the Federal Secretariat here just behind me to check if civil servants are back to work. And for those who spoke to us, said yes, they are back to work today, being the 28th of December, but a lot of persons are not still at the office. Some are because they've taken their leave during this festive period, and some because they say there are nominal roles to play at the office. My name is Ubong Usoro for Global Television News. The youth wing of the Action Democratic Congress ADC has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to suspend the enforcement of the 2025 Tax Act. Addressing a news conference in Kano State, the group warns that the failure to do so will result in a nationwide taxpayers' strike. Correspondent Idris Jibrin was there for Global Television News.
The Action Democratic Congress Youth Wing says the recent presidential assent to the 2025 tax bills amounts to what it described as a systematic dismantling of the social contract between the government and citizens. Hence, the call on federal government to immediately halt the enforcement of the tax laws within the next 7 days.
Nigeria stands at a volatile crossroad. Following the presidential assent to the 2025 tax bill, the nation has witnessed a systematic what was presented as reform has been exposed as the regime of fiscal extraction. The current administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has introduced a tax framework that ignores the economic reality of 70% of the population. The youth wing of the African Democratic Congress ADC hereby issue a final ultimatum to the presidency. The government has 7 days until the close of business on Saturday, February 3rd, 2026, to take the following corrective actions.
The group warned that unless the government withdraws the disputed tax provisions, removes what it described as a 20% ransom clause, and abolish paramilitary powers granted to tax collectors, it will mobilize Nigerian youth for a nationwide occupation of fiscal and revenue-generating institutions. He noted that the youth wing had earlier staged a protest at the National Assembly where it submitted what it termed a dossier of grievances over alleged legislative forgery and fiscal operation, but claimed no action was taken, insisting that their actions are aimed at protecting citizens from policies it believes could worsen economic hardship. Meanwhile, many Nigerians express hope that any tax reform introduced by the federal government will prioritize economic growth and social justice and the overall well-being of the country's teeming population. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
And now to some weather news. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET has predicted a sunny and cloudy atmosphere from Monday to Wednesday across the country. The NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja envisaged sunny skies over the northern region throughout the forecast period. The agency stated that sunny skies with a few patches of cloud are anticipated over the central region throughout the forecast period. You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, Somalia leads international backlash against Israel over recognition of Somaliland. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back from that break, and now to business news, where President Bola Tinubu has approved the cancellation of a substantial portion of debt owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the Federation account, wiping off about $1.42 billion and 5.57 trillion naira. The approval was documented by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, titled Report of October 2025 Revenue Collection, presented at the Federation Account Allocation Committee meeting held on 18th November 2025. The directive effectively clears the legacy debt accumulated up to December 31, 2024, resolving long-standing dispute between the NNPC Limited and the Federation, while leaving current liabilities from 2025 operating under ongoing monitoring. In the meantime, the Federation Account Allocation Committee has continued its investigation into the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme, as only 3 out of 7 participating companies have responded to requests for details on their involvement, expenditure, and project execution under the program. This was disclosed in the report of the FAC Post-Mortem Subcommittee meeting for November 2025, which reviewed deductions made for the scheme between February 2024 and September 2025. The document indicates that the subcommittee wrote to the Federal Ministries of Finance and Works, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, as well as firms participating in the scheme. Still talking business, data from the Central Bank of Nigeria indicates that the country's external reserves have grown by $4.39 billion between December 23, 2024 and December 23, 2025. The data indicates that the reserves increased by approximately 10.75% within the period under review. As of Tuesday, December 23, the foreign exchange reserves stood at $45.24 billion, higher than the $40.85 billion on the same period last year. The reserves have maintained an upward trajectory in the last few months of the year, although there were periods of decline. Electricity distribution companies have commenced the distribution of prepaid meters at no cost to their customers, although it was gathered that the meters are largely for Band A and some Band B customers. This is coming a few weeks after the chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Musiliu Oseni, accused the DISCOs of refusing to pick available meters for onward distribution to customers. At the recently held 4th Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry Stakeholders meeting in Abuja, Oseni revealed that there are about 600,000 to 700,000 meters available in the country. And now to the foreign scene. Somalia is leading a growing international backlash against Israel over its recognition of Somaliland as an independent state. In a statement, Somali's Prime Minister's office said the region is an integral, inseparable, and inalienable part of Somalia's sovereign territory and rejected Israel's recognition as unlawful. The African Union, the Arab League, Nigeria, Egypt, and a number of other countries and international organizations have condemned Israel's action, saying they pose a serious threat to international peace and security. Hopes of peace in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are fading after fresh clashes erupted in the town of Uvira, raising concerns about the fragility of recent diplomatic efforts. The violence comes just weeks after Rwanda and the Congolese government reaffirmed their commitment to a United States brokered peace deal in Washington, despite the Rwandan-backed M23 rebel group not being a signatory to the agreement. Although the United States accused Rwanda of violating the deal and the M23 announced it would withdraw, residents say rebel fighters have remained in Uvira, some dressed in plain clothes or police uniform. United States President Donald Trump and Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky have expressed optimism that a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine is close following their talks in Florida, even as the thorny issue of territory remains outstanding. Addressing journalists after meeting Zelensky at the Mar-a-Lago estate and following an earlier call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Trump said that Moscow and Kyiv were closer than ever to a peace deal. Zelensky said a 20-point peace plan unveiled last week was 90% agreed and that United States-Ukraine security guarantees were 100% agreed too. And now talking sports, the final round of group stage matches at the Africa Cup of Nations begins on Monday with qualifications still open for most teams as the race for the knockout stage intensifies. This was detailed in a release titled AFCON 2025. Final group games begin as knockout race tightens in Morocco, which was on the CAF website. According to the Confederation of African Football, only 3 teams, Egypt, Nigeria, and Algeria, have secured places in the round of 16 after winning their first 2 matches, leaving the remaining slots to be decided over the final set of fixtures. Portuguese football icon Cristiano Ronaldo has been awarded the Best Middle East Player at the 16th edition of the Globe Soccer Awards held in Dubai. Fabrizio Romano, an independent Italian sport journalist and influencer, announced the award on his X page. The 40-year-old Al Nassr forward edged other competitors like Karim Benzema, Riyad Mahrez, and Salim Al Dawsari in a fan-voted category that highlights top performers in the region's leagues. Now, as Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. On Global TV News Express, we brought to you that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has warned that the country may soon face another nationwide shutdown of medical services following the federal government's failure to honor a memorandum of understanding previously signed with the association. In business, President Bola Tinubu has approved the cancellation of a substantial portion of debt owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the Federation account, wiping off about $1.42 billion and 5.57 trillion naira. On the international scene, we brought to you that Somalia is leading a growing international backlash against Israel over its recognition of Somaliland as an independent state. And in sports, you heard that the final round of group stage matches at the TotalEnergies CAF Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 begins on Monday, with qualifications still open for most teams as the race for the knockout stage intensifies. And that's it on News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.